At the University of Regina, you have the really extraordinary opportunity to use a water-based, ultraviolet cured silkscreen system. Here's our transparent base made by the small company in the UK. Transparent base is exactly what it sounds like, ink without any color in it. So in order to mix your inks and get started, you're going to need some transparent base and an ointment jar, several in fact, and some ink spatulas. These are, of course, icing spatulas that one could get at a cooking supply store. You have to be careful with this stuff because it's kind of goopy and stringy and it doesn't dry unless it's passed under the special light. So now might be a good time to take a step back and ask why we're using this ink and what makes it so special. So conventional screen printing ink is like acrylic paint, a thinned out version of acrylic paint. You print it onto your paper or whatever and it dries by evaporation. It takes a few moments right through to many minutes to dry. With ultraviolet cured screen printing ink, the ink only dries when it is passed under a special ultraviolet light in our Magnum curing unit. Because the ink doesn't dry until it passes under that light, it's exposed to a specific narrow band of ultraviolet light. It also means the ink is not going to dry in our screens. If the ink doesn't dry in our screens, we can use a higher mesh count screen, basically a finer weave, and that permits us to expose higher resolution photographic imagery or really delicate washes and drawing. It really allows screen printing to up its capacity in terms of the imagery that we can expose and then print. It's really expensive, partly because of this UV part, and the other being that it's a water-based product. So it is really the holy grail of screen printing ink, in my opinion. So let's get back to mixing some ink. And we'll begin by filling our jar somewhere between half and 2/3 full. Now, in order to add color, you're going to need pigments. It also is a good idea to have some scraps of printing paper standing by to do drawdowns like you might do in etching or lithography. The kind of pigments we use, the kind of colors we use are what we call liquid dispersions. These are highly pigmented, light fast, high quality pigments in a liquid solution in a squirt bottle. So here I am adding a bit of yellow to my base, and I mix it thoroughly with my spatula. Once it's thoroughly mixed, I can take a small amount and draw it down on my paper. So I know in fact that I'm not going for a yellow, and what I want is an orange of some kind. So to my mixed yellow ink, I'm adding some naphthol red. I could have added some yellow and some red right at the beginning, but doing this slowly and incrementally is really the best way to home in on the color that I'm after. That looks pretty close, so I'm going to do a drawdown and check. It's important to note with this ink that it's quite transparent, and so the ink in its final printed form will be somewhere around there, that middle value. Not the lightest part on the drawdown, but certainly not the darkest part. I know I want my ink to be a little bit more red, a little bit more intense, so I can add some more of my red dispersion. I'm going to mix that thoroughly again. I may even need to wipe my palette knife just to ensure that there's only the ink that I'm currently mixing on there and do a drawdown. And of course, I can repeat this process until I get the exact color I want. I'm going to label the top of my jar so I know what's in. If I have old ink or ink that's become thick from overuse, I can add some of this. This is called diluent or thinner. You add a few drops into your jar of ink and mix thoroughly, and it should restore it to like new condition. Anytime I'm mixing ink, I want to make sure that I clean my workstation afterwards, and a wet cloth and a bit of a wipe is all I need. I often get questions about using white pigment, and of course you can use white pigment to make white inks or more opaque or pastel versions of your colors. You add it into the base in the normal way. The main difference though is that this ink is by nature transparent, and we're going to look at some samples of a little bit similar colored inks with varying degrees of transparency. When you add white pigment to your ink, you run the risk that the opacity of the white pigment will block the light from the curing unit, not permitting the ink to cure all the way through. On the left, here's a very transparent ink. This is mostly transparent base plus a little bit of pigment, and here's one with considerably more white. The third and fourth examples, some mixture in between those two extremes. When in doubt about whether your ink will cure, do some drawdowns and pass them under the magnum. The colors that we use for CMYK printing, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, are as follows: phthalocyanine blue, aerolide yellow, quinacridone magenta, and carbon black. These are mixed in exactly the same way as the other colors, and of course they can be used in varying strengths and degrees. But for CMYK print, we want 70 to 90% transparent base with relatively small amounts of pigment. CMYK printing is really satisfying, but ultimately how you mix your colors and how you print will determine your success. Here's a little bonus section on fluorescents. Our fluorescents come in the form of a dry powder. You might assume you could mix this right into the base on its own, but what you'll find out about fluorescent colors is that they're fugitive. That is, on their own, they will fade away to almost nothing over time. The way that we combat that is to mix a base color using some of our light fast pigments. In this case, I want to mix a fluorescent pink of some sort. So I'm going to start with quinacridone magenta. I'm going to mix up a medium strength magenta into base, mix it thoroughly, and then I'll do a drawdown so we can see what that looks like. And here it is. It's a lovely color on its own, but we want to supercharge it with some fluorescent pigment. To a half jar of base mixed in with some traditional pigment, I'm going to add 2 to 3 portions of dry powder on the end of my spatula. This powder is very fine. It will fly all over the place. So you want to be careful when you're placing it into your jar, and in particular when you begin mixing it. You don't want to mix it quickly. You want to mix it very, very slowly. And you'll see here even on the screen that powder kind of flies up. You want to avoid that happening because you don't want to be breathing that, but also you don't want to be wasting the pigment. As it begins to incorporate, then you can be more aggressive about it. And in fact, you're going to have to mix it longer and more thoroughly than standard liquid pigments. And let's do a drawdown and see what the difference is. Now, the computer screen isn't going to be able to capture the vibrancy entirely of that fluorescent pigment, but it's definitely there. And this can be a really nice addition to your prints. Furthermore, when viewed under a black light, fluorescents are really, really dynamite.